Hey Will, hey Harish, hey Ashim, hey everyone.
Great.
Hey everyone.
Okay, so thank you for joining, and for those of you who are watching back, thanks for taking the time. We're very excited. Today is a special day because the Berkeley hard fork was successfully there was a successful Berkeley hard fork last night, and now blocks are being produced on mainnet with the zk apps protocol integrated, which is really exciting. So this is a big step. This is something I've been with Mina Foundation for like 2.5 years. This is something that we've been working towards pretty much since I've been here, and there's been a lot of challenges along the way, both technical, organizational, coordination wise, to have like a network of this size with 1,000 active validators and I think 230,000 unique addresses. It is our version of the merge, and we hope to kind of do many. Speaking of Midjourney, I tried to find the hardest fork I could find. This one's pretty hard. But in reality, like for the folks on this call and for the folks in the community, if you're watching this back, we have been preparing this on the community zk app community side for a while, and now it's really about making the tools available on mainnet. So where do we go from here? Hey, Michael. For us, it's business as usual. We are trying to ramp up even faster and harder around getting your applications and your infrastructure to production and getting them in the hands of users to show people the power of Mina. We're also ramping up our developer programs to get more developers in and make sure that you all have the support that you need ultimately to kind of like achieve your goals in the Mina ecosystem, whether that's to build your own business, whether that's to build them for other people to use, whether that's to contribute on the core protocol itself. This is really like, yes, it's a huge milestone, but if anything, at least for our team and the message we want to send to the ecosystem is that this is now kind of all systems go in terms of getting, just accelerating the pace of development. And just I think as a big momentum indicator as well, like this is just, it was a blocker. It's no longer a blocker. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done on the tool set, but the kind of like big thing that's overhanging is now gone. So we're very excited. And again, just shout out to everybody who contributed, especially the O1 Labs engineering team. They've been working really hard behind the scenes on this for a while. And then a bunch of different community members, especially Gareth Davies, who has kind of been the one of the leaders of the node operator community over the last 5 years. And he was really instrumental in getting this across the line as well. So time to celebrate, but also time to grind. So that's what we're here to talk about. And I'll turn it over to Haresh for what that means in terms of navigators.
All right, great. Thanks, Will. So let's take a look at the agenda for today's call. We are going to look at some statistics from season 1. We're going to celebrate and raise a toast to the winners. Season 2 is now officially on the way. So we look at some statistics, and it's 5 days in. We would also like to go over the application lifecycle, so everyone is in tune. There's a small FAQ, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end of it. So wrapping up the season 1 statistics, at the end of April, we saw 47 submissions and 37 unique projects. Now, this is just the end of April. Throughout the program, the numbers differ vastly because we have also had a bit of churn where projects also went from the Navigators to the zk Ignite program. In terms of Mina distributed, the program has distributed 2.4 million Mina. This also includes the grand prizes. So we hope this empowered and ignited the community. Season 1 winners. It took us a while to arrive at selecting the best projects, and it was a very, very difficult decision. So to toast them all, the first place for 50K is shared between Zkanoid and ZK Notary and ZK Arcade. So Zkanoid team comprises of Andre, Neogar, and I'm sure there are like there are more colleagues they have. So thank you for all your work. Zkanoid has consistently delivered great quality code throughout the program. They have written a large number of tutorials, which the community, I believe, can benefit from. Tito and Rafa built ZK Notary and ZK Arcade. I'm sorry, I'm skipping out some of your projects. You guys did go a little ham. We were very impressed with the work done on ZK Notary, bringing us closer to ZK Oracles. The second place was shared by ID Mask, by Raidas and Maran. Again, very impressed to see like the number of features which were added through the life cycle of the program. Mina Playground by our note. Every time I blink, there's something new added to it. And we were very happy to see features like snippets, which came through. So thank you again. Third place for 25K was shared by Mahmood. And Mahmood has been churning out some really impressive work and low-level primitives. We've all seen and heard ZK regex, and it is continuing in season 2, which I'll come to later. So thanks, Mahmood. And Struct has also been trailblazing the primitives department, and he also has a proposal for season 2. So thank you again all for the amazing work you've submitted as part of the programs over the last 6 months. And again, a final vote of thanks to everyone who was part of the program. These programs are only as successful as the participants, and we saw a large variety of applications come through, different ideas come through. There were a lot of experiments, and I genuinely wanted to thank everyone who was in the program to come along with us on this journey. Now we move to season 2. Yasin, if you are online, could you please share the stats for starter grants?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Arash and Will so far. So as you know, we have 2 types of grants in Mina Navigators, which is growth track and starter track. So starter grant and starter grant is invite only, but if you have the sufficient knowledge of O1GS and Mina and zero knowledge, we are always open to discuss and discuss with our Mina exploration Navigators exploration team on what you want to build and if it's compelling and contributing to the community. So far, we have 4 projects that started their work, and also right now 5 projects in the pipeline that we are discussing about milestones. And let me share briefly what these 4 projects are focusing on. And the first one is from Alden, and they're building an anonymous discussion forum that allows participants to chat with each other privately. And the second team is Kenny RVS. They won a hackathon in Korea, and they built a proof of concept, and right now developing it further, which is called MIDNA, where it's a service that analyzes the presence or absence of rare or genetic diseases. And this project actually utilized O1GS and Protocol both to create off-chain and on-chain services on top of Mina. And the third one is coming from ZK Krakow, and Bronicle is an applied cryptographer, and right now worked on a project that extends the algebraic class abstractions provided by O1GS, which will open the door for our builders to construct more cryptographic primitives. Last but not least, we have Kartik. They have been also part of ZK app testings last year, as far as I remember. And right now they are working on a research and applied research, which is a framework for standardization around identity in the Mina ecosystem. So that's what we got so far. Again, if you already like studied and worked on O1.js and feel you're ready to start a proof of concept and a project, like my communication channels is like always open. So happy to chat with you. Yeah. Thanks, Arash.
Thank you, Yasin, for the updates. Moving on to the growth grants, I can share that currently we have received 10 proposals, and out of those 10 proposals, we have progressed 3. This is not to say the remaining 7 are rejected. We will be analyzing them over the coming weeks. So please stay tuned. And because it's a new program, our timelines might be a little stretched. Please bear with me. I'm sure this will improve as we progress. So the 3 proposals which are progressed, their status is now under consideration, and they are now open for discussion since the 2nd of June. What this means is these proposals are put on Mina Research Forum. The link is at the bottom of the slide. And I encourage and welcome the community to go to them, take a look at them, ask any questions, raise any concerns. So we have a very good idea of what is being funded. The first call for these proposals is on 12th of June. So the idea is to leave proposals open at least for 10 days to collect comments. And if at the end of 10 days, we are confident that there is no outstanding major issue, then a funding decision can be made for these projects by the next members and Mina Foundation. I kind of just wanted to give a shout out to the 3 proposals. So the first one is JWT verification in O1.js by 0xstruct. The second proposal is enhancing the zk-regex project from season 1 by Mahmood. And the third one is layer 1 lottery implementation by zknoid team. So please go to the forums, have a look at them, and please ask any questions or clarifications you might have. I understand this team list is incomplete, but I wanted to announce the addition of Carol to the team. Carol, unfortunately, is in transit today, so he won't be joining the call. But Carol is being one of the oldest members of the Mina community, and he has a very deep understanding of the tooling, the libraries, and all the other ecosystem projects. So I just kind of wanted to clap for Carol. And there are more members which we will be adding in the next session. So apologies if I'm missing the others who have already started. I kind of wanted to discuss the proposal lifecycle once more. We have had this discussion before during the program announcement, but right now I would like to focus on the bolded numbers. So I would like to talk about proposal creation, application submission, the screening and refinement phases, invitation, build, and evaluation, and speak a little bit about each of these phases. So everyone who is applying to the program has this information handy. So before you start writing the proposal, I highly recommend everyone go to the Navigator documentation page. Some of the questions which get asked a lot are already answered on the site. So please feel free to go there and read it up. And if you do have any questions or clarifications, please hit us up on Discord. So the very first step is proposal creation. Earlier, we had given the option of either creating the proposal from a template on HackMD to HackMD or GitHub, but now we are changing this slightly to only be hosted on HackMD. And the reasons for this is it just allows for easier commenting. So as soon as the proposal comes in and when we are evaluating it, it's easy for us to like highlight the proposal and ask you to make changes or ask you to add or remove information. There are guidelines for proposal in the docs itself, but I'm going to just swap out of this window and just spend 5 more minutes to quickly go through the structure. So please let me know if you can still see my screen and the proposal template. Is it good?
Maybe if you can make a little bigger. It's
All right. Okay, I'm a little bit of a boomer. Oh, but yeah, here we go. I've just used Brave now, and I think each of these use different ways to zoom in and out. Is this better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So this is the template on HackMD, and we are going to keep making small modifications as the proposals come in, and we learn how to write a more efficient proposal. So you might see smaller changes in the coming weeks to this layout. So obviously the first one is self-explanatory, which is the title. The second section is the project background. Over here, please describe the project itself. The idea is also to keep this section small, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. And if there is more information, you should just link it offsite. And if an evaluator wants to take a look at in depth of what the project does, they can go and read the docs. The second section is the proposal overview. Now, this largely deals with what you are committing to build and for what you are requesting the funding for. So the problem over here is going to represent the enhancement or whatever you are intending to build. The solution is basically an answer to your problem. Impact discusses how does this proposal being funded contribute to the ecosystem itself. Does it encourage adoption? Is it better tooling? Is it going to create more users or developers? Is it a novel application on the platform? So this is what is covered by impact. Audience deals with who is the user of this proposal. So a lot of primitives are largely aimed at developers. But for example, games could be aimed at both developers and users. So this could lead to, for example, increased network usage. Architecture and design is largely a section where you go over the technical details about the proposal itself. And of course, there's some nuance. If this is fitting into an existing architecture, please link it. And please focus mainly on what part of your architecture this is enhancing. So you give a detailed design of your architecture. You can add sequence diagrams. You could add more details on what you're trying to build. Vision largely encompasses on what your idea of this particular proposal or project is. Where do you see it fitting in the ecosystem? And what would an end product look like? This may not be the full proposal itself, but this is much larger vision. Existing work, if you had already built this, it's part of a different program, or if it's part of a different project, please provide some links to GitHub repositories. And production timeline is largely to ask you, when is this project going to be in production? So it could happen like you need to build 4 proposals, which could last a year, and your production timeline could be a year over here. So this gives us a good idea to say, how far is this from being production ready? I believe the budgets and milestones are fairly straightforward, but then I might spend some time on the deliverables. Whenever you are submitting deliverables, please make sure these are measurable. And what I mean by that, I'll just go another proposal in, and the same thing applies for midpoint milestones. There is a guide which discusses what makes a good deliverable and a good midpoint milestone on the program page. So please take a look at that. Team info, pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to cover that now. In terms of risks and mitigations, please discuss what risks you haven't accounted for while writing this proposal, and what would be your mitigation, if any. So now I'm just going to very briefly take a look at one of the proposals, which is currently on Mina Research. All right, here we go. So this is a proposal by Mahmoud for ZK regex. As you can see, like he's included a very succinct description of the project. The proposal overview covers what this particular proposal is intending to build or what the problems are. And the solutions are basically one-on-one against the problems which have been listed. In terms of adoption, building this particular primitive would encourage novel applications, it'll attract developers and open up new particular innovations possible. Audience, again, it is targeted for developers in this particular proposal. You're welcome to link to any existing documentation, so evaluators can take a look at it. The vision in this particular case is much larger than the proposal itself, but this is very clearly mentioned in the design itself. Now I would like to cover the deliverables. So these deliverables are very, very measurable. So it says there's going to be an NPM package, a type of regex pattern which can be supported. There is some refactoring which we can take a look at in the code itself, the documentation, and like an example on how to use whatever has been built. So I highly recommend anyone who's viewing to take a look at these three proposals, which are on the Mina protocol, because they would serve as a very good template to write your own. And of course, if you miss any of these, we will get back to you and we'll work with you to improve what you have submitted. But this just makes the entire process more efficient. I might stop here and take any questions if there are. Cool. If you do have anything, please reach out to us anyway. So now that you have created a proposal, it's time to submit it. The link for submission is in the documentation. And once you submit it, there isn't an automated mail which gets sent out. So when we do take a look at the proposal, when we receive it, we will acknowledge it, and you will receive an email from grants@minaprotocol.com to say, hey, we have received your proposal and we will be evaluating it shortly. Once the proposal has been received, we will schedule on screening it. There are a number of screening phases, and the very first is done by Mina Foundation. So probably if you have input your Discord or email, we'll reach out to you and say, hey, we have taken a look at your proposal and we've left in a bunch of comments on your HackMD link. So this is where the first screening, where we make sure all the information is provided in the proposal, so the evaluators can take a look at it and make a decision on it. The second phase is refinement, and this is carried out by Next members and the community itself. Once we found that the proposal is something we would like to fund, basically this is an intention, we will host the proposal on Mina protocol, where feedback from Next members and the community can drive it forward. This stays open for public comments for 10 days. We expect that individuals or teams who've written the proposal to be active and answer the questions. And at the end of 10 days, we will make a first call. And the decision to fund it or not will be made by Next and Mina Foundation together. But it is important. I guess I want to highlight that if there is a major open issue, then this funding decision will be delayed until that has been addressed. Thumbs up. Now, assuming everything goes through, we will contact you either on forums or on Discord to agree on a start date. Now, currently, we are trying to start a lot of the applications either on the 1st or on the 15th, but then we are happy with some flexibility on either sides. And the next phase is to build. as I mentioned, 1st or 15th is when we are hoping we would onboard, but then we will be a little bit flexible. We are figuring out as teams start building how best to support them. Now, this could be done by hosting sessions, and it has been largely requested that we enhance the model of ZK Chill to something be more navigator specific. We are working on formulating this, and we'll announce it very shortly. What teams need to do as they are on their development journey is to post bi-weekly updates on their proposal thread. So this is just to say, hey, in the last 2 weeks, this is what we have done. And this is, you can raise any blockers which you might have, but this is just to make sure that the proposal is moving in the right direction and it is going to meet the timelines. As the build continues, we come to evaluation. Now, evaluation can take place during the midpoint, and it will take place during the delivery. The process is more or less the same. We will reach out to you. We'll agree on dates and time to organize a check-in. This check-in will be a 30-minute call with the next members to demo the milestones and the deliverables. We will record and share it we'll record and share this with the community, and it will also be updated to the Mina protocol forums. We are not super sure about inviting the full community to these events as well, because maybe I feel the process might be erratic, the timings might be erratic, and we may not be able to do it at a particular day. But this is something which we can revisit as the program matures. Are there any questions on these two phases? Cool. So rejections. So a proposal can be rejected during multiple phases. It can happen during the first screening. It can happen during the second screening, which is on Mina protocol forums. It could also happen during midpoint evaluations, where we are finding if there has been the work delivered is not sufficient or it's not moving in the right directions. We will always work with teams if they have faced some issues and they need more time. And of course, the last rejection can take place during delivery as well. But we are hoping if the project hasn't been facing any issues in the first 3 phases, it's highly unlikely we'll have issues on the 4th one. But please note, this is a possibility. I have some FAQs, and these were FAQs from discussions of the 3 proposals we had hosted, and also from the community. So the very first one being, can I get an update on my application status? We will aim to provide a status update within the first 3 weeks of application. I know some of the applications have already come in, and I apologize. There might be a little more delay as we're just kicking off the program. But we'll aim to do this within this timeline. The second question is, can you start working on the proposal before the decision is made? In this case, I want to say ideally no, because without getting the proposals go through the full review cycle, we cannot guarantee the funding. But basically, there is no retroactive funding. So it could mean if there is a major issue identified, we cannot guarantee that your previous work, which you have started, will get funded. So I request the best spot would be to start it after the decision is made. But it is something we want to improve as the program matures. The third question is, when is the funding distributed? And obviously, this payment cycle is very familiar to anyone who's already in Navigators. So we need to make sure the participants have passed their KYC and the payments are made on first Wednesday of the month. And for this to happen, the KYC needs to be done, and the decision basically to fund it has to be done on 23rd of the previous month. So this may be a bit awkward for anyone who's just doing a 1-month submission, their payment might just come through at the end of it. Again, something to improve as we move forward. And now I'd like to just open it if there are any questions in a Q&A session with the community, please. Is there anything in the chat or?
Yeah,
Hi, Harish.
Right.
Hello. Hi, Harish. So will there be any specific, technical mentor also be allocated for the projects, that becomes part of the growth program?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the build phase, we are just working out how best to support projects which have been approved for funding. And we are looking at, you will have one of the members of Next team who you can always ask questions for. We're also figuring out how to enhance the Discord sessions we had from ZK Chill to more Navigator specific. So you can get more feedback from the SDK teams as well. We are formulating this, but I'm sure within the next 10 days, 10, 15 days, we can announce a better plan for this.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank
you. There's another question in the chat from Anush who says, can we raise funds after developing an MVP as well? Not asking if it will be funded or not, but will it be considered?
I mean, obviously, it's always good to see that some ground has already been broken and some ideas have been tried out. We don't like force, or maybe I'm trying to find a better word. It's not a necessity to submit an application with, but of course it will be considered. And I'm assuming your proposal, which is going to be built, is going to enhance on that MVP and not necessarily try to take the work done and ask funding for it, if that clarifies. But if it doesn't, like just please message me on Discord, and I'm happy to speak to you about it. Cool.
I'll also share, this is just some alpha, but we're working on on-chain voting for ZK Ignite. We'll hopefully have something to share. Not a product, but more plans in the coming weeks. But the goal is to kind of shift ZK Ignite also into a potential like retroactive funding option as well. So with the implementation of stake-weighted voting, we'll be able to like have more flexibility if you'd like to go to the community and get feedback. I think coming back to like what we're trying to do here, we wanted to remove the friction and kind of, instead of having an open kind of incentivized leaderboard for participation like we did for Navigators V1, it's really about pushing products into production and lowering the friction of like someone enters the community, they have a good idea and they're capable of building something. We want to accelerate that as fast as possible. And so that's what this is intended. Of course, setting that standard of quality in terms of what gets accepted and not is the hardest part in terms of the program side, but that's what we're going through right now. So thanks for your flexibility as we're figuring that out.
Yep, thank you. I don't think we have anything else planned for today's session. So thank you all for joining. Please, of course, reach out to us in case you have any questions or clarifications, and I look forward to all the proposals to come through. Have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. Bye.
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.